Hello everyone and welcome to another New World discussion video. Today's video's topic is actually inspired by the latest New World to Go podcast. They talked about the expansion being a make or break moment for New World, and I thought I'd weigh in on this topic, namely because while I feel the expansion's important, while my copium infused mind feels like I would love to see the internet and the opinions of everyone change and everybody start to really see what I see in this game, at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily matter. And I want to talk to you why I don't think that's the most important thing that we will get out of this upcoming expansion. There is a lot of hype that I already have. I've had it for a long time. There's a lot of hope, a lot of hopium that I have for this game and its future. And I think essentially when we talk about hopium and copium, there's a third element that is ultimately missing, and that's hypium. Hypium is a hell of a drug that people love to consume. It's an exciting time to be a part of the in-crowd with any game release or with any expansion release. And that's what we're going to explore in today's video. So hello everyone and welcome to the channel. My name is Brian. If you happen to be new around here, I am your copium infused overlord, as Sater likes to kind of point out. And yeah, whatever, we're going to roll with it. I honestly just love New World and I love what the devs are doing. It's not all perfect and no game is. And I think that's essentially kind of where I feel New World kind of sets itself apart in unique and interesting ways. Now, as a call to action, guys, if you are new to the channel and you do like New World or hate New World and you just like to listen to these videos or kind of consume the content, be sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know if you do, as well as that like button. And if you do, I can feature your comment like Mr. Flock. And that's actually one of the reasons why I'm saying this right now. I'm doing such a poor job at my call to actions. And I think the like to view count ratio really shows it. Now, again, it's a free way of supporting the channel. Hitting that subscribe button is a free way of getting content into your feed. I do appreciate it if you do it. I do appreciate you for just being here. So whether you want to take that call to action and do something with it, either way, we'll just leave it at that. Let's get into the core video right now. Yes, expansion, absolutely important. But we also have to understand the narrative, the hype, and the marketing dollars that are going to be spent on this game that will create a bubble. If you think about video games, especially games as a service, there is a parallel to kind of real world economics, bear markets and bull markets. Same thing with content creators. We're seeing a lot of content creators take a bath in 2023 due to the nature that the majority of content creators derive their financial support from viewers like you, not just in watching, but in actual membership or gifted subs and etc. And I've never thought that as a very valuable thing to do. As a father with 6 kids, yes, you heard that right. Content creation is about fun. So that all being said, let's actually have some fun. So we know that what is coming is going to be the next hypium cycle. We're going to see numbers increase. And at the same time, as soon as that high wears off or a new high to chase comes out, we'll see numbers decrease. Where I get frustrated as a content creator and a video game analyst here is when people basically don't understand that hype cycle. They do not understand why numbers are going down, and they look at it as a bad sign. They use that to say game is bad because people aren't perpetually playing it. Where if you actually apply that logic out to all the video games, therefore it would only be 1 or 2 video games that truly hit that level of, almost in a way, mind-blowing success. World of Warcraft, Fortnite are the 2 that I could think of. Call of Duty is also one that has continued to maintain and hold on to these kind of insane numbers. However, what we see is persistent communication, content communication, like I said, consistency within that. That is essentially kind of one of the biggest defining things when it comes to building up a game, continuing to build that game as a service and attracting new players. So yes, the expansion is important, but just because it's important doesn't mean that after all the hype wears off, that we're going to all of a sudden all be in this paradise. We'll still be getting beat up by a lot of people who can beat up on the game for fun because people will consume that content. Will want to either defend the game or want to jump on and say, see, I told you it was bad all the time. I don't pay attention to any of that. I think all that is just noise on the internet, as is probably this video and the things that I make as well, but you guys can be the judge of that. What I'm really more interested in, what the real value of this expansion is in the commitment that Amazon has stated, which is this game is a 10-year plan. If these are just words, which that's all they are at the moment, because we haven't yet lived through 10 years, well, what we're witnessing is Amazon putting them into action. Action is the most critical thing for them to do, because their action in supporting New World and committing to a 10-year plan for this game, and then doing that 10-year plan, benefits every project that they have. Now, there are plenty of studios and development, worlds, and we've all experienced the promise to do things and then at the same time just pulling out those funds. Anthem is probably the most painful one for me, as somebody who thought that game could be saved if they continued to invest in it, because they had some core really good components. They had some really bad stuff that was going on in the game, but based off their plan and their roadmap for the 2.0 Anthem Next, I said, you know what, let's give it a shot. And then they did the rug pull and they quit on that. And that, for me, says I won't ever invest in one of their games as a service. And that's why this is so important. Because if they do stop, if after this expansion, the devs are like, well, we tried, we said we're going to do one expansion. No. You said 10 years. You're going to invest in this game, support this game for 10 years. Then I'm not going to trust their Lord of the Rings. I'm not going to trust any other projects, because if times get tough, they cut and bail. We haven't seen that from AGS at all. Now, people would like to point to Crucible, and I actually fully support Crucible's getting deleted, because having played that game, there wasn't any magic. And that's where New World is different. New World has a level of magic. It has a level of wonder. When people play it, when people even criticize it, they talk about it in such a glowing and beautiful way, saying, hey, if these problems are truly addressed, then I'm going to be really, really excited to play it. And that is a telltale sign. That is a really good sign in my book. And we see that because numbers go up, numbers go down, numbers go up, numbers go down. And seeing that variability actually is a good heartbeat, a good sign of life. Because when you go look at other games in the same ilk, they all kind of have that same pattern. And when you start to kind of step back and take a wider view, they're all kind of in the same kind of cycle. And I think ultimately that is something that we should be aware of personally whenever, especially we hear these negative thoughts online, which will continue, because right now I think 2023 is one of the best years we've had in gaming history, at least in my short-term memory here. And it feels like it's the most negative that is happening online, which in and of itself, you know what, we'll just leave that in its own corner. Now, I make the case that it would actually be more costly for them to stop development after the expansion if it doesn't play out. Now, we only know up to season 4, which is the winter, but they haven't really gone and given us that bigger, wider vision for the game's future. And I think after the expansion, it would be really helpful to see that kind of information. I think after the expansion, or even when they're doing the expansion hype, start promoting the next expansion. What really will benefit New World is that continual understanding of what is to come. Are the expansions going to be on a 2-year model, or are they going to be on a yearly model going forward? I personally think the yearly model going forward tends to be a little bit on the healthier side, but it does tend to have a bigger withdrawal when it comes to the seasons, where on a 2-year, MMO expansion cycle, that expansion ends up being much bigger in terms of scope. And then that kind of holds on players for much longer, but then you have bigger, longer gaps and becomes untenable in terms of content creators trying to cover it. And thus you end up seeing a lot of negativity coming out of content creators who are just trying to understand or trying to feed their family or trying to, make it in this quote unquote business, which in and of itself is a topic that I find really awkward and weird, but we'll leave it at that. It is more costly for them to stop, because with the Lord of the Rings and with all the other projects they have in their wheelhouse, and they have more, they just haven't shared them all with us yet. I think essentially if they continue to support New World, even if Lord of the Rings comes out and there's a problem, everybody can look at New World and say, they didn't give up on that. Here we go. We're ready to go forward. We know they're going to address it, especially because New World in and of itself for 10 years, especially because I'm thinking Lord of the Rings at this time, we're talking 2027. We're talking a minimum of 5 years, which puts New World in that 7 to 8 year category, meaning they can be running both at the same time. If they want to keep going with New World after 10 years, great. If they don't want to, they fulfilled their commitment when they said this is a 10-year game. And then they could kind of just put it into, let life support or whatever we want mode. And I'm not going to fault them for that at that time because they've done what they said. If they want to keep going on, I'm all for it. But then essentially you see how that builds that level of trust. And with Lord of the Rings, you're going to have that nostalgia drip already baked into the game. But it's a fine line. They're going to have to walk that fine line with the nostalgia drip. But at the end of the day, we know nostalgia sells. We know that it's going to have a significant impact on people's, willingness to try it out again. And with what Amazon's doing in New World now, they can have all the technology tested, ready to go, and giving them that. So it gives them better benefits. It saves them so much, and it helps them build trust, which is going to benefit not just New World, but it's also going to benefit every project that they want to put out there. And from the games that they're releasing, many, many, many of them, well, we haven't seen the new Tomb Raider yet, but many, many, many of them are games as service-based games. And I think that's really kind of a key aspect. Service-based games require trust, and the only way to earn trust is to earn it. You can tell people what you're going to do all the time, but actions speak louder than words. And that's really what we're talking about here, actions. Anyway, I can't wait to cover more of the expansion with you guys as soon as we know more information. That's what we'll be covering here as soon as we have that. I've got a couple other videos I'm working on for you guys this week. Hopefully you all enjoy and have a wonderful, wonderful week. Let me know if you got any comments, any thoughts about what I shared in the comments below. Looking forward to hear from you. And I'm just going to wish you guys all the best. Thanks so much for being here. Hopefully you have a wonderful day. Hopefully I'll see you next time. But until then, take care.